Hello, my name is Bubble, and I sometimes go by the name of Simon, and this is a thoughts video. This is a thoughts video for Transatlantic. This was my Essen #1 game that I was looking forward to. It was made by Mac Gerdts, who's the same designer who did Concordia, and Concordia is a game I really like. Now, Transatlantic is obviously one of his newer games, but it does feature the same card play system that Concordia does. Essentially, on your turn, you're playing one card and doing an action. And after you play a certain amount of cards, you'll then play one card and then take all those cards back. That's the similarity. And it does have a few other things, like a lot of cards you can see, well, oh, that's probably how it relates to Concordia. But this is very much more about shipping. You are going to be a person who controls a shipping company during the late 1800s, and you're purchasing steamships like, of course, the Titanic, and just some other ones like the Britannia or some Germania or the New York. There's a plethora of steamships to do so. You then will be trying to get these ships to certain crossings, or for example, you'll be trying to get them to go along certain routes along the Atlantic or the North Atlantic or the Pacific or the Indian, and it generates you money essentially for doing that. The ships don't actually move, but you have to kind of imagine them going along the route and doing that transaction. The card play comes into a situation where you're trying to purchase new ships to generate you more income. You then have to load up the ships with coal, because that's how steamships work. And then you're also trying to set up an infrastructure. You're trying to use your cards to invest into trading houses along the routes, which then will get you points whenever you do a transport action, or you're trying to do an invest action to get you certain things. So you can invest into, say, passengers or various goods, and then your ships will actually score bonuses based on it. And obviously certain ships are better at doing certain things, so certain ships are going to score you more points for essentially shipping that certain stuff. Well, that's the color of the ship, so the ship might be green, and you might be investing in green points. So when a ship eventually retires, or in this case gets scrapped because it's the oldest ship that's been doing the job for 10 years, then essentially you're going to be gaining those points as victory points. The person with the most victory points wins. I've given a very loose basis of the game. The game isn't easy to explain. Let me put that out there. My two biggest complaints with the game, and I'll get to why I like the game so much, but my two biggest complaints about the game is, firstly, the rules are terribly written. I mean, they are appalling. And I don't know if this is because it was just badly done, the rules, but I think there might be an issue with the translation, perhaps, where the game gives you examples, but then it doesn't give you examples for other things. And occasionally there are just simply things left out that you kind of have to figure. And even like the main thing of the game, where ships replace other ships, isn't clear. You have to read through it. Probably we read through it about 10 times before we actually understood what the hell was going on. And again, my group is not people who are bad at games. We're quite good at them. But for some reason, this rulebook, it's short. I mean, this is, 6 pages of rules. But it's just messy. Even just how you score your ships at the end, it's so not good. And then there's 2 variants, and then there's things of Nova Scotia's initial ship. It's just, and then the even worse thing is there will be cards, right? Each card that you have, each card has obviously images and it has text on the card itself, but sometimes it's just missing icons, or the icons in the wrong order, and so it's like the invest action where it never says that you have to pay. Like here, the invest action, you can choose 3 options, and the one option just isn't on the card. The option of paying £50 to get a marker, it just isn't there. That's really frustrating. And what even makes it worse is that the game is good enough in terms of production quality, right? The cards, the artwork is really nice. The steamships are really nice, and there's been a lot of like effort put into just information. Mac Gerdts does this a lot, even in the Concordia. But what's nice is there's a whole booklet just with the information of all the 45 steamships that are available, and it'll give you like the whole history of the not Concordia, that ship sank. But it'll give you a whole like history of the Titanic. It'll give you a whole history of the boat that saved the Titanic, the people that were drowning in the Titanic. But that's a really nice addition, and like you'll be playing the game and you'll have some time to spare. The game does go quite fast, but you'll have some time to spare, and you'll just be like, "Oh, that's a cool ship that just came out. What's the history about it?" That's just a nice thing they added. So, and the artwork's beautiful, but it just sucks that the UI just isn't great. And another big thing is the ocean tiles that you get. These could have just been a board, like this whole thing of this victory point chart, the ship market, and these sea regions. This could all just be in a board. And I don't know if it's just because they're trying to save on money, but there's no reason not to have that. I will say now, this is the first game I've actually enjoyed with paper money. That's been really good. I really enjoyed the paper money. It's not bad quality. It feels quite good to handle. It doesn't feel cheap. And the images are quite nice to it. I mean, the one guy's name was Balling, Mr. Balling, and he's on the £100. No, that's great. I love that. I love this little quote to it. And it's been, you can see there's been some effort put in, but it just seems they didn't really, I don't know, maybe it's because of the translation issue. Like, here's the thing, like the final scoring, at the end of the game, the final scoring, you score in certain ways, but half of those ways aren't put onto the player board when they easily could have. So the whole game, you kind of forget about the scoring until the very end. There's 2 tiles in the game that tell you the scoring, but the text is minuscule. Minuscule. Oh. I don't mean to rag on about the production quality and just the rules and stuff, but it really is a frustrating experience the first time you play the game. And the game is good. The card play is so satisfying in this game. Again, your actions aren't simple. Because the way ships get pushed out as newer ships come onto the board, you have choices. Do I add coal this round to the ship that might get pushed out? Is the person going to push that ship out, or will I get another chance to use it? But then if I get another chance to use it, then I have to refill it with more coal. And then where do you put your train posts? Because if you put all your train posts into one place, you're going to be generating a lot of points that way. But then if someone starts being actively aggressive and starts pushing your ships out of that lane, you're screwed. So there's that tension as well of like, well, do I try and expand, or do I keep it quite narrow in my approach? And even things like, okay, well, when do you play cards? If I play 4 cards, I'm going to get bonus when I bring all my cards back. And then if I get a bonus, I can then do that and pick up that card, which allows me to transport. But I can't transport because my ship's aren't full of coal. So the thing about Concordia is sometimes you kind of know what your 5 moves are already. You kind of know, it's going to happen like this because no one's really going to be able to interact with me. In this, there's a very good likelihood that by the time it gets back to your next turn, you might just have to change your plans because someone screwed with you. There's a simple thing. In North Atlantica, in order to get the blue ribbon, you have to put the fastest ship down at the top. But because of the way the ships come out, they're not completely random. The newer ships will always be newer. But there's some randomness to how fast they are, how much passages they have, how many people they can transport, and there's certain cards which work off of that. But just trying to find a ship that's fast enough, because you might go from having a ship that is 15, and you're now, okay, I have to be the 15. The very next turn, someone else could then play a purchase card, get 2 more ships, and the ship that he puts down is now 19. That's gone from being a 15 to a 19, and now you're like, okay, crap. Now I have to somehow find a 20. Because you need those blue ribbons, because you want to try and diversify your portfolio. Again, the end-game scoring comes in, and you have to try and complete rows of colors, essentially. And the blue ribbon is one of those colors. And there's not that many opportunities to get one. You could have essentially a game where there might only be 7 ribbons given out, or there might be a game where you get 11 ribbons given out. And of course, the more ribbons you have, the more opportunities you have, and certain cards even work off having those ribbons. There's such a nice tension that gets created in this game. Again, it's not easy to play the first time, and a lot of that has to do with the rules, but once you know it, it's very streamlined. It goes so fast. You have turns where you just be like, okay, I'm going to play a card, get $300. Next turn, purchase 2 ships. Go here, and then it comes back to you again, and comes back to you again. It's so quick the way it's been done. Again, the scoring is quite weird. You don't know if you should be diversifying. You have to get through a couple of plays before you fully understand. Again, it's very similar to Concordia. Concordia has this very weird scoring system of what guards, and then the guards multiply certain things. But in this, it's the same kind of situation where you're like, okay, well, I can either go this way or I can go vertically, and if I go down, then I have to focus on certain types of ships. So if I max out on investing in red, perhaps, then I can only get red ships. But then if I only get red ships, then I'm missing out on a lot of other things, and other people are going to be buying red ships. So is it that good? And a lot of cards benefit me going for different flags of ships, so different colors of ships. So maybe I should go for that instead. There's just so many good choices for this game. Again, this game isn't going to be for everyone. This is a lot of thinkiness. The card play, if you don't like using your cards as your actions, it's not going to appeal to a lot of people. It's very German in its approach, and again, the rules aren't fantastic. No, actually, they're pretty abysmal. But there is a little gem hidden in here, and I think Mac Gerdts has really lived up to his fame as a Concordia designer. The ship artwork is just really, really nice, and there's a couple of variant rules that just make the game a bit more interesting in order to play. But the game doesn't need to do that. Honestly, I think if you can get this game at a good price, then absolutely go for it. Especially if you enjoy your Euros, and especially if you enjoy Concordia, because you'll find satisfaction in the same card play. However, if you're a person who's put off really badly written rules and slightly mediocre production choices, then maybe give this game a skip. But again, it's a really good thing. Here's the thing. This was my #1 game for Essen, and I think it's absolutely lived up to that. I look back now and I look at that list, and I'm just like, you know what, this is probably still the best one. This is probably the one I would choose to be my #1 from that Essen experience. Anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. Again, if you enjoyed the video, then of course leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to just maybe you like this artwork, maybe you have known things about the Titanic that you never knew before, and that you found out playing this game, but let me know in the comment section, of course. And of course, I will be putting out more videos. I do at least one a week, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. Anyway, from me, bye-bye.